children, a very good afternoon to all. And
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Very good afternoon, ma'am. Very good afternoon, children. And let us begin once again. I know that there was just a smoke in your head thinking about direct and indirect objects. So let us revise the topic once again, the direct and indirect object. Okay, as you all know, let us begin from object. What is an object in a sentence, children? Let us begin.
It's a receiver of an action.
Yes, an object receives an action from the subject. As you are familiar with the sentence Rama killed Ravana. In the sentence Rama, the person who attacked or who killed Ravana, the demon, right? Where Rama is doing an action, killing, and the action received by the object called Ravana in that sentence, right? So here Rama is the subject. It is very easy to define a subject because the doer of an action. What was the action? That is the verb. Okay, killed is the action word used here. It is called the verb, action word. Okay, at the same time, who receives the action? Ravana, the demon. Okay, so here we can say that Ravana is the object of the sentence. But sometimes, see, so that an object always receives an action from the subject. Okay, it receives action from the subject. So we can label receiver of an action. An object is called the receiver of an action. Okay, in a sentence, a sentence, you can see that some sentences are actually with only one object, but there are some sentences with two objects. There comes the importance, or there comes the value of identifying the direct object who receives the action directly, and indirect object which is always depending upon the direct object. Okay, so there are two types of objects, which is called a direct object, and the second one is called an indirect object of a sentence. Okay, and these objects are, and these verbs and the objects are as a part of the predicate. When you divide one sentence into subject and predicate, the first one is called the subject, the doer of an action, and we separate the predicate from the subject. Okay, and the predicate part consists of verb and the object. Okay, and in the object, it is easy to identify a direct object because it receives the action directly. Okay, at the same time, indirect object also easy to identify. The first step is to identify the verb of the particular sentence. Once the verb is identified, check for the direct object. Once the direct object is identified, you can see that the indirect object is there between the, or placed between the direct object and the verb. Okay, most probably it is the name of a person, or most probably it is in the form of a pronoun. Okay, objects are normally in the form of a noun or pronoun used in one sentence. Okay, and direct and indirect objects are also in the form of a noun or pronoun used in that particular sentence. It is easy to identify an indirect object from a group of from a sentence, from a predicate part, because an indirect object is always placed between a verb and the direct object. Am I clear? Am I clear? Yes, so the first step to identify the object is to identify the verb. Once it is over, you can easily identify the objects or the receiver of an action from the sentence. Okay? Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Am I clear? So let me share the same screen. Okay, so objects. An object is a person or a thing that receives, this is very important, that receives the action of the verb. So object is called the receiver, R-E-C-E-I-V-E, a receiver of an action. Okay, subject is so called doer. Subject means, what do you mean by subject? Doer of an action. Okay, doer of an action. Okay, here object means receiver of an action. Am I clear?
Receiver of action.
Am I clear?
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
Let us move to the second slide. Second slide, let us define an object in detail. See children, you all familiar that all sentences have a subject and a verb in it, right? A sentence consists of a subject and a verb in it. Okay, some sentence may also have an object after the main verb. You can see the place of subject after the main verb. Sometimes you can see in one sentence, two different objects are used. Okay. So remember, an object is a part of the predicate. Remember, an object is a part of the predicate in a sentence. And remember, it receives the action done by the subject. Remember this one, Rama killed Ravana. Okay, Rama killed Ravana. This is one sentence. Rama is the subject, kill Ravana is the predicate. Okay, as I have told you, Ravana is the one who is said to be the doer of an action. And who receives an action here? Ravana, the demon receiver of an action here. And this is actually the object of this particular sentence. So we can say that this object is always a part of predicate. Am I clear? Am I clear? Children? Okay, and remember, an object is in the form of a noun, or it can be in the form of a pronoun. Okay, an object is easy to identify in the predicate part. It is in the form of a noun, or it is placed in the form of a pronoun. Am I clear? So you can see a subject, predicate, and an object of these three sentences. He told a story. Divide the sentence into subject and predicate. The first one. Divide the first sentence into subject and predicate.
He told
Subject, told a story is the predicate. Okay, he is the subject and told a story is the predicate. Now let us see which word is so called the verb of this particular sentence.
a story.
Told is the verb. Okay, told is the verb. Soon after the verb, you can see a story, a noun. Okay, and this one is the object of this particular sentence. Tell me whether it is a direct object or an indirect object.
Direct
This
object.
is the direct object. If there is two objects, one is direct, the other one is indirect. Okay, if there is only one object, even if it is a noun or a pronoun, you can label it as a direct object, because an indirect object is always depending upon the direct object. Okay, okay, indirect object is always depending upon the direct object. Remember this one. Okay, so let us move into the next slide. There are two types of objects. See children, we are going to learn about the two types of objects here. Okay, direct object and indirect object. With definition we are going to learn. Okay, look at here. Look at here, direct object. All of you listen carefully. The direct object of the verb is a thing being acted upon, receiver of an action. We can find the direct object. See how to find a direct object. This point is very important. How to find a direct object? Once the verb is there, once the verb is identified, you ask a question, what and whom. Okay, you ask a question, what or whom. Okay, okay. In other words, a direct object answers the question, what or whom. Okay, it answers, a direct object answers the question, what or whom. See children, Pooh collected honey all day. What did Pooh collect?
Honey.
So we asked a question, what, to find an answer, right? So you said the answer, honey. So what is honey here?
Direct object. The thing that was
collected. An example for a direct object. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Tim brought his friend to the cricket man. Whom did, okay, listen. Whom did Tim bring to the cricket match?
His friend.
His friend.
His friend.
His
Okay, so it
friend.
answers the question, his friend. So what is it? What is it?
Direct object.
This one is an example of a direct object. Am I clear?
Yes,
Rita
ma'am.
is reading
Yes,
a book.
ma'am.
Okay? Rita is reading a book.
What is Rita reading?
So
A book.
we asked a question what and it answers
A book.
a book.
A book.
Okay. So tell me what is that a book is?
Direct object.
Direct
Clear?
object.
Am I clear, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let us move into the second slide. Okay, just a summary of what we have done on the previous slide. A direct object, it can be a noun, a pronoun, or a noun phrase that receives the action of the verb directly. Okay, and it answers the question what, who, and whom. If you ask these questions, you will be getting a direct object from the sentence. Remember, a direct object comes always after the verb. Okay, if there is no indirect object, if there is only one object, that one is a direct object. That is an example for a direct object. So if you ask 3 questions, what, who, and whom, the answer is your direct object. Clear? Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
And remember, a sentence that has a direct object may or may not have an indirect object. So indirect object is not necessary with the direct object. But if there is direct object, then only you can see the presence of indirect object. Okay, but here direct object is not depending upon the indirect object. It may or may not have an indirect object in the sentence. It is not depending upon the indirect object. Direct object is the only object you can see in a sentence. Okay, he wrote a letter. What did he write?
A letter.
A
Did
letter.
he write? What is your answer?
A letter.
A
What
letter.
is a letter?
Ma'am.
What is a letter?
Object.
Direct object.
object.
Direct object. Clear?
Yes,
Am I
ma'am.
clear? He wrote his sister a letter. You can see 2 objects in the sentence. He wrote his
Indirect
sister
sister,
a letter.
Indirect.
His sister and a letter.
His sister and a letter.
A letter.
So remember, there is only one a letter in the first sentence, only one object, and that is the direct object of that particular sentence. But look at the second example. He wrote his sister a letter. Okay, so you will be getting 2 different objects from the sentence. Okay, and remember,
So it is an indirect
an indirect object is always placed between a verb and a direct object. Okay, a verb and a direct object. So you have got the verb from the sentence, you have got the direct object of the sentence, and tell me what is this?
Indirect object.
Indirect object. Indirect object.
Indirect object. Okay, this is an example for indirect object. It can be in the form of a name, it can be in the form of a pronoun. Okay, never mind. 2 objects, if it is given in one sentence, one should be the direct, the other one should be the indirect. Indirect object comes between the verb and the direct object. Remember this point. Okay, now let us talk about indirect object in detail. See, children, I have told you, if you ask a question for or to whom, or to whom, you will be getting an answer. Indirect object. It is easy to identify an indirect object because it is in the form of a noun or a pronoun. It is not a thing or anything. It is just the name of a person, or it can be a pronoun. It is placed between the verb and the direct object. Okay, look at the example number 1. You show me a hero. You show me a hero. You is the subject of the sentence. Show me a hero is the predicate of the sentence. As I have told you, there are chances for you to see 2 objects in one sentence. That also in the predicate part. Okay, remember how to identify a direct object by asking a question who, what, and whom, and find out the direct object of the sentence. I want an answer. You please don't keep quiet.
Me.
What was my question, Shane? What was my question? A direct object answers the question what, whom, or who. So you ask a question, find the direct object. First of all, we got the subject and predicate. First of all, identify the verb of the sentence. Verb of the sentence.
You.
Verb.
Show.
Oh.
Show is the verb. So we
And the
have
direct
got
object
the
is a-
subject. We have got the the verb. Now we need to find out the direct object of the sentence.
hero.
Ask question.
A hero. A hero.
A hero is the direct object.
Okay. Before answering to my question, you please ask a question to get a direct object.
What will you show me?
What will you show me?
Huh?
What will you show
Whom
me?
will you show me? Whom will you show me?
You show me a hero.
Who will you show me?
Whom
did you show
me?
Okay. So the answer is, if that is your question,
A
the
hero.
answer is
A hero.
a hero. So you got an answer, the hero. Okay, what
Yes,
is the
ma'am.
hero or a hero in the sentence?
Direct.
This is an example of
Direct
direct object. So
object.
we have got the verb, we have got the direct object. And remember, an indirect object, it can be a person, it can be a noun, it can be a pronoun placed between a verb and a direct object. So tell me the indirect object here.
Show me.
Me a hero.
Me is the indirect object here. Clear? Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. He told me a story. Tell me
Me
the
is
verb.
the indirect object and a story is direct object.
Very good. A story is the direct object. Told is the verb.
Indirect object
And
is
indirect object is placed between verb and the direct object. So me is the indirect object. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Am I
Yes,
clear?
ma'am.
So
Yes,
in general, an indirect object is a noun or a noun phrase, or it can be a pronoun. To whom, this is very important, to whom or for whom the action is done. Ask a question to get your answer. So indirect object answers the question at whom, to whom, and for whom. Remember to ask these questions to get your indirect object from your sentence. Okay? And remember, this point is very important. It often comes after a preposition. It often comes after a preposition. There can be no indirect object without a direct object. This point is very, very important. There can be no indirect object without a direct object. Okay? Okay? One should be the direct object. Then only you can see the presence of indirect object in a sentence. Clear? Am I clear?
Yes,
So we
ma'am.
have discussed about direct object and indirect object and object in general. Now I am here with a few questions for you to identify the direct and indirect object. Ready? Ready? Sharanya, mute.
Yes, ma'am, I am ready.
Sharanya, please mute your device. I request Sharanya to mute your device. Okay, fine. Okay, so question number 1 for you guys. Question number 1. She sees the dog. She sees the dog.
The
Dog, D-O-G. She sees the dog. Identify the object and classify under direct and indirect object. I don't know what is it. You are going to tell me the answer. Okay. Question number 2. I gave the man sugar. I gave the man sugar.
ma'am, can you repeat?
I gave the man sugar. I gave the man sugar. Third question. My aunt opened her purse. P-U-R-S-E. My aunt opened her purse. P-U-R-S-E. I've heard people are pronouncing it as purse. Purse. Foreign as origin. I've heard people are using foreign as origin. My foreign friend. My God. Okay. My aunt opened her purse. He kicked a ball. He kicked a ball. Cats eat fish. Cats eat fish. Cats eat fish. I like chocolate. I like chocolate. They have brought a new car. Next question. John loves his mother. John loves his mother. Next question.
Ma'am, John loves
his mother. John loves his mother. Renu, next question. Renu built a sand castle. Renu built a sand castle. Alice caught a snake. Alice caught a snake. Miss Anju taught us English grammar. Miss Anju taught us English grammar. She is trying to teach, but we are not learning, right? You are learning. Good children you are. Miss Anju taught us English grammar. Mary sold Tom. Mary sold Tom some salmons. Salmon is a kind of fish. Mary sold Tom some salmons.
Ma'am.
Yes, Shane?
Ma'am, I did not hear after Renu build a sandcastle because
we'll discuss the answers, okay?
It is slow.
And this question, Mary sold Tom some salmons. Mom ate cookies. Mom ate cookies. She gifted me a ball. She gifted me a ball. I met Anna. I met Anna.
Ma'am, 14 to
Next question.
Ma'am, mom ate after that.
Mom ate cookies. I met Anna. Next question. They elected him their mayor. They elected him their mayor. M-A-Y-O-R. They elected him their mayor. My mother bought me a necklace. My mother bought me a necklace. N-E-C-K-L-A-C-E, necklace. John told Peter a story. John told Peter a story. Rahul hit the ball. Rahul hit the ball. Try to identify direct object and indirect object from all these words or these sentences. The time is for you. Please go through your questions now. Okay, so I'm moving to Dion Xavier. Dion, read the first question and answer.
He see the dog. Object is the dog.
Could you please repeat the question?
She see the dog.
She sees the dog. Okay. What object?
The dog.
Okay, object is the dog. Tell me direct object or indirect object.
Indirect.
Louder?
Indirect.
Indirect. No, you are wrong. How many objects are there in that sentence, Dion? How
One.
many objects are there in that sentence? One or two?
One.
Dia said 5. Dia said 5 by raising her hand. She raised her left and said and showed just me the 5 fingers. No, there is no 5 objects in it, only one object. If there is only one object, what can you say?
Direct object.
Yes, of course you are right, my son. It is direct object. Thank you, Abhi. It's direct object. If there is only one object, that is definitely the example for a direct object. If two objects, the objects comes between a verb and the direct objects are called indirect object. Dion, remember this point. Okay, Abhinavaji, sleeping beauty of the class. Okay. Abhinav, my son, read the second question.
Ma'am, I did not get the
You
second
have to
one.
read the second question, my dear.
Ma'am,
Second question is, I gave the man sugar. I gave the man sugar.
ma'am,
Ma'am,
Time is up. Work with these examples. We'll be discussing the answers in the next class. Come prepare for a small test paper. I'll be coming with a question paper for you guys. Go through direct and indirect object. I'll be posting the link.
ma'am, online.
I'll be posting the notes in your class group today. Direct and indirect object. Go through it. Complete
Ma'am,
your
online
notes.
test.
With the help of the notes. Yes, Shane. With the help of the notes, please do this homework. Okay? And we'll discuss
Ma'am, I
the
could not
answers in the
note
next class.
some notes.
Thank you.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, I could not note some sentences because my data was slow.
Okay, no problem. Next day we'll complete when we discuss the answers.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.